engineer, or why engineering is the only meaningful profession, or Meghna, it's not too late to quit your job and become an engineer. Though her mother would never put it that bluntly, Meghna knew that was what she really meant. As if on cue, her mom launched into describing all the difficult and rewarding aspects of engineering, things she had experienced firsthand, she reminded Meghna. After all, she had placed first in engineering college back in India, beating out Meghna's father, who had placed only sixth. But somehow, her mother said, she had fallen in love with him anyway. Their families had considered their relationship scandalous at first, especially since her mother's family was North Indian and her father's South Indian, but they eventually came around. And Meghna's parents had ended up with the first love marriage in their family. Meghna put her phone on speaker, tuning out her mother's familiar words. As a kid, she'd loved listening to her parents' great love story. She'd asked to hear it again and again, dreaming about finding that kind of love for herself one day. She still hoped for it, even though she had no clear prospects in sight, even though it felt less and less likely every day. She sighed and opened her mail. She read a few bills, set aside a couple flyers, and saved a stationery supply catalog she had never ordered from but loved to look through. And that's when she saw it. A deceptively simple-looking white envelope. It wouldn't have stood out to her, but the address on the front was written in a style of calligraphy she knew all too well. A wedding invitation. She frowned. Most of her close friends were already married, and the few who were single wouldn't be getting married anytime soon. Slightly puzzled, she took out the invitation. 2 names in large, bold, italic sprawled across the middle of the page. Seth Mitchell and Julie Cox. Meghna's stomach dropped. She hadn't counted Seth in her mental tally of close friends. Seth was in a different category altogether. And even though she'd known he was dating someone, he'd never referred to that person as his girlfriend, let alone mentioned that the two of them were thinking about marriage. Meghna had met Seth as a college freshman when they'd been assigned as partners in Intro to Creative Writing. She had been smitten when she saw his lanky build, dark green eyes, and blonde hair that he left a little too long. They'd both wanted to major in creative writing, but Meghna had declared an education major instead. Seth had constantly tried to change her mind. "It's not that complicated. If you want to write plays, you should write them," he had told her, his voice full of conviction. He hadn't understood why she couldn't pursue writing full-time, but that wasn't his fault. Seth wasn't like her. He never doubted his abilities, never doubted that he would become a successful songwriter. She'd envied his certainty, his optimism, his lack of fear. When they'd started dating their junior year, she thought it was the beginning of her own great love story. Seth had been kind, funny, and honest to a fault. "This entire section has to go, Meg," he told her as he reviewed her latest draft. "It doesn't add anything." His comments had stung at first, but she soon got used to his direct feedback. She'd started to appreciate the way he couldn't help but tell the truth. It had made his praise even more meaningful. When he'd told her that her character work was stunning, she believed him fully. When he'd called her beautiful, she didn't doubt that he meant it. And when he'd broken up with her after graduation, she knew he meant that too. "We're friends, Meg," he'd said. "You think so too, right? That we're better off as friends?" To save face, she'd forced a smile and lied. "Of course, Seth. We'll always be friends." Surprisingly, their friendship and writing partnership continued. Seth still called or emailed every week. He sent lyrics and voice memos of his songs, and she sent him pieces of the play she had started in college and was still working on. No matter what she was going through, Seth was always willing.